Welcome to your community. This is your hometown. This is Walton Entertainment. This is where you can hear from the community and those making a difference. We explore topics, local festivals, arts and entertainment, and local news. For this program and much more, visit us online at yourlocalstream.com. That's yourlocalstream.com.
As you can see, the old light bulb in here broke off and the base of the light bulb is still left in the fixture. So we're going to show you an easy way to get this out. First off, go out to your breaker box and look at what circuit it is and go and flip that circuit breaker off. Then we'll go in and remove the light. The two things you will need is a step stool and some needle nose pliers. Now what you're going to be doing is taking the needle nose pliers, and I hope I don't forget it, but you got to go up in there and you pull on them instead of pushing like you usually do. You pull on them, you stick them up in there, and you pull real hard, and then you start twisting. You go again and start twisting. And then you can usually get a hold once you get the base coming out. Then take the needle nose and finish removing the base. And this is the way you remove a base that is broken off in a light fixture. This is Mullins' morning tip of the day. I hope this tip will help you if you ever experience this problem. This is Paul Mullins with Walton Entertainment.
Woo! This show is getting hot in Walton County. If that's you right now, you may need to come to our splash park. In between Georgia, we've got water that's flying everywhere. It's going down and getting recirculated and coming back. And even if you're not in the water and you're bringing a child that's wanting to run around, sometimes if you just get downwind, you'll get some of the mist on you. So it's a great place to go. Let your kids have fun, cool off, and it's very, very affordable. We're doing it for $3 per kid. You can come out. We've got some folks that are there supervising. As long as you're 16 and up, you can bring a child and supervise them. It's a great place to have some good entertainment during the day. We're open from 4 to 6 most nights when school is in. We're open from 10 to 6 when school is out for the entire summer. The only day we're closed is on Monday. On Saturdays 10 to 6, on Sundays 1 to 5. So I hope to see you at the Splash Park, and remember, it's a great place to get out of the heat.
Hello, my name is Dawn Kinsey Smith. Today we're at the Monroe Walton Center for the Arts. We're having a feral cat shelter workshop. We are building feral cat shelters. So shelters are needed for feral cats in the winter, and if it's raining, they'll have a place to go and stay dry. So lots of things going on out here today. Some of the people will take these feral cat shelters home, and some of them will be donated, and they'll be used here in the town of Monroe for cats that have been spayed and neutered. So today we are building feral cat shelters, and what we're doing today, there are many different methods, but today what we're doing is using storage totes. So basically you get a large tote. The one that goes inside needs to be a little smaller. Then you cut an entrance inside the tote, line it with straw, not hay, but straw. Then you put a smaller tote inside, put more straw inside the smaller tote, put the lid on the tote, another layer of straw. So straw acts as an insulation. So it's going to keep the heat inside, make a little warm shelter for the cat in the winter time. Also, you don't use blankets. Blankets get wet, they freeze, take a really long time to dry out. So it's best to use straw because straw will dry out a lot faster. Every year, you could, or maybe twice a year, check on your shelters. Then you can replace the straw as needed or add more as it gets packed down. If the straw is wet, you just take it out, put more straw in, good to go. Then of course you put a top on it, You cut another hole in, so basically both containers have holes in them, so there's an entrance way, and you're good to go. You can camouflage the shelters if you'd like. I usually suggest using if you're going to paint it, using colors that are natural to the environment so that the shelter doesn't stick out. Or you can just buy maybe a gray or a dark green or something that's going to blend in with the environment. We've had a great turnout today, and we're glad that the community has come out to put these shelters together to help the animals here in Monroe.
And this is what the finished product looks like.
Monroe Country Day School's mission is to inspire every student to have a passion for academic and personal excellence through creative learning, independent thinking, and selfless service to others. Students are exposed to the local community and provided opportunities for independent thinking.
What will you do with all the dirt?
Some of the dirt you see has been hauled over here because they're going to have to build the finished floor, the elevation of the building, so that it's got to have the right kind of soil that will compact and tighten up for the footings of the building.
Monroe Country Day School values the whole child. Therefore, we believe in a holistic and integrated approach that involves the development of the student academically, personally, and socially. Monroe Country Day School believes that creative learning produces independent thinking and fosters a love of learning. Excellence is applied to all that we do. We strive to foster students that are pursuing strong academic and personal excellence. Project-based education is integrated into our curriculum.
When we go back in the classroom, we need the combined weight of you guys because we've got to figure our bridge, our mass bridge weight ratio, okay? You got to figure out how much weight it was that finally broke your bridge, okay?
We need a scale for that.
And then on Monday, we're going to redesign. We figured out where some of our flaws are. We're going to spend another week redesigning, all right?
Monroe Country Day School offers personalized education that begins with the personal knowledge of each student academically and each student's personal story. We believe that taking personal responsibilities for one's academic and personal choices produces strong, independent, capable, and confident citizens. Students are taught responsibility for self, peers, and community. Through service to one's peers and community, an equipped leader finds personal growth and fulfillment. We facilitate this leadership through providing experiences of service. Respect is the basis for good dialogue, independent thinking, and mutual enjoyment of life lived in community. Monroe Country Day School is designed for families who see the value of educating the whole child. Monroe Country Day School will reach its mission by maintaining small class sizes, offering project-based learning and a high-level curriculum, and by providing service opportunities in an aesthetically pleasing environment. Monroe Country Day School has positioned itself to produce a community of young people who are strong in mind and character and living as contributing members in their community. For more information, please contact Mandy Wellington, Admissions Director, at 770-267-8955.
Welcome to Focus. This segment is an opportunity for us to focus on what matters with people, places, and things. I'm your photographer, Darrell Everidge. And on this edition of Focus, I sit down with Hope Reese, Director of the Monroe Walton Center for the Arts. We talk a little about the history of the Arts Center and how she got started here.
It started with the Dilleys, with Scott and Melanie Dilley, a lot of you know, from Maiden Monroe. I've known the Dillies for many, many years. And when Scott was president of our board in 2015 or so, he invited me to serve on the board. So I served on the board, and Tyler Gregory was the director at that time. So I came onto the board, and I think my title kind of varied back and forth between different jobs. But I think finally I settled into kind of being a volunteer chair of, and that was my position on the board. And then Tyler moved on to greener pastures, and this job opened up, and I really wanted it. I don't know, I had a fire in my belly that I just really saw the potential in this place that was not yet realized. Not that I had any kind of grand plan at all. I had no idea what I was doing, but I just felt like it was all potential, you know, and we could really take this place and do something positive for the community for it.
And do you have any art talent? Is that
No.
so you kind of came in here not as an artist.
No, and you know, in my opinion, you don't need an artist running this place. A lot of people assume I am artistic, and I appreciate art, and I've learned a lot about art since coming here. But no, I'm not an artist. My background is in business management. My degree, I have a double major from Auburn, so War Eagle, but it's in psychology, which comes in handy in dealing with a lot of different people, and then also in management. So I have kind of a business degree too. So, and I come from, you know, running small businesses, and so that's, I think that kind of background suits this place better than an artist trying to run it.
In a business aspect, what are the challenges here?
The challenges are different now than they were when I first started. When I kind of first started, this place was kind of at a low point. There was not a whole lot of excitement here. Membership was down. It was open and still, and that was, I think, a miracle that the place was still open, because it was kind of seen as a exclusive club for artists and not really a community art center. And so the challenge initially was finding our relevance in the community and our place to fit and to serve, to find that need and fill it. So it took a while to figure out that need. And for a long time, I remember my first, in February, I'll be here 5 years as a director, and I remember my first couple of years thinking that this place is kind of like the old great aunt, you know, and the fabulous old house, you know, sitting frumpily by herself while the party was going on downtown. And I thought, we need to have a party here, you know, we need to be a place where people are excited to come. So that was the initial challenge, is finding a place and finding the need. Right now, frankly, I think the challenge is keeping that relevance going, not resting on our laurels and not sitting back and saying, okay, we've made it. It's what can we do next?
Do you see a difficult challenge coming out of 2020?
It was tough. I told somebody the other day that we're a COVID-free zone, and that I don't like to obsess about it because I can, like everybody. Don't like to talk about it all the time like we can. We've tried to keep this place safe and clean and happy.
And the talent that's in this community, were you surprised with how many talented individuals and artists there are?
Amazed. I mean, yeah, amazed at the level of dedication and generosity and the hard work. It's not easy being an artist. And yeah, a lot of amazing talent, amazing.
Do you think that a lot of artists think it's so difficult to be a part of the art center and they don't really know what the steps are?
Yeah. I mean, I hear it weekly, you know, that somebody has lived in the community for years and never been in here. So that's a continual outreach, is getting people in here, yeah. Because our whole identity and branding, we tried to change from being an exclusive enclave for artists, which Monroe Art Guild conveyed. You know, a guild is kind of a closed group. So we changed the name in 2016, I think, to Monroe Walton Center for the Arts, and really wanted to focus on that outreach into the community. So we started with doing classes for disabled kids and adults, because Art for All is another part of our branding. And the Saturday soirees are drop-in workshops, so we usually have at least 2, sometimes up to 5 different workshops. It's easy, it's fast, they're all for beginners. Pottery, watercolor, different kinds of painting, different kinds of jewelry, almost always beading, something for kids. So we do those once a month, and we did have to stop in 2020, but we picked them back up, I think, in November or so of December of 2020, and started them back up and have continued on. And so we have anywhere from, you know, a small crowd might be 40 or 50 people come in, to bigger crowds of, you know, 100 or more people come in. And they may not all take our classes, but they're at least exposed to the things that we do here. And a lot of them do take classes and make something beautiful, and then they're amazed at what they do. And we've got fabulous teachers here, and we vet them. We're very careful about who we allow to teach here. We want it to be a fun, positive experience, because that's the other thing I've learned is people do want great art instruction, but really the number one thing they're looking for is community and fun, relationships. And so we provide that.
And do you think that this is a great opportunity here to get the children away from their devices because they're so glued to their phone or tablet?
It's really good. And art's good for the brain. It's good for your immune system. It gets you outside of yourself. It's good for anxiety and depression. So yeah, really good for kids.
What do you hope to see the Art Center here in 5-10 years from now?
I'd really like some of the messages that we have in general take root in other areas as well. The Art MD kits that we have, that are kits that we provide for free to hospitals, to EMTs, to doctors' offices, to DFACs and other places. I'd like to see those kind of spread all over the United States. Nobody else is doing those that I know of. There may be, but it's a pretty original idea with us. And not that we would do them, but just that idea to be spread to other art galleries. And just our general attitude of wanting art to be for all people, and not some snobby, thing. It's for everybody.
All right, well, thank you, Hope, for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us.
Thank you for your time.
Creative artists can offer you a wide range of video production. Call the experts and discuss your project today, whether it's your special event or your company. Creative Artist, 770-267-7368. Creative Artist produces this program you're watching. Call Creative Artist today, 770-267-7368. Creative Artist, they'll put you in the spotlight.
Hi, this is Miss Laura reading a story to you today. This is one of my very favorite authors, Eric Carle. He actually writes the stories and draws the pictures. This is Mr. Seahorse, and I hope you enjoy reading it with me today. Mr. Seahorse by Eric Carle. Mr. and Ms. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Miss Seahorse began to wiggle and twist, this way and that. "It's time for me to lay my eggs," she said. "Can I help?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Oh, yes, thank you," said Miss Seahorse, and she laid her eggs into a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. "I'll take good care of our eggs," said Mr. Seahorse. "I promise." As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of reeds. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Stickleback?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Delighted," replied Mr. Stickleback. "I just built a nest, and right away Ms. Stickleback laid her eggs into it. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch." "Keep up the good work," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a lionfish hidden behind a coral reef. Ooh. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Tilapia?" asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. I know, said Mr. Seahorse. Ms. Tilapia laid her eggs. Now you are taking good care of them until they hatch. Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. You must be very happy, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a pair of leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Curtis? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Perfectly fine, replied Mr. Curtis. Miss Curtis laid her eggs, and I have stuck them on my head. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch. You are doing a good job, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a stonefish hidden behind a rock. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Pipe? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Couldn't be better, replied Mr. Pipe. Miss Pipe laid her eggs along my belly. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch. You should feel proud of yourself, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Bullhead? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Tip-top, replied Mr. Bullhead. Ms. Bullhead laid her eggs, and the eggs hatched. Now I'm babysitting. You are doing a fine job, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. The time had come for the seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that. At last the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. Oh no, said Mr. Seahorse, I do love you, but now you are ready to be on your own. The end. Thank you for reading Mr. Seahorse by Eric Carle with me today. And if you like this story, Eric Carle has written many, many stories. Look them up. Hi, I'm getting ready to read you a story. This one is called Ladybug Girl. The author is David Simon and Jackie Davis. Let's read Ladybug Girl by David Simon and Jackie Davis. Let's read. I'm Ladybug Girl, says Lulu, zipping into the kitchen. She slips into the chair next to her brother. Did you know that ladybugs eat bugs? Yes, he says. Everyone knows that. After breakfast, Mama says, Papa and I have work to do around the house. You'll have to figure out your own fun time, okay? How am I ever going to do that? Asked Lulu. You can do anything, Lulu. You're Ladybug Girl. Lulu runs after her brother. Where are you going? I'm playing baseball with Sam and Max. Can I play too? She asked. No, you're too little, he snorts. And bugs don't play baseball. With a sigh, Lulu wanders through the house. Bingo follows. There's nothing to do. In the living room, there's a wall of books. Lulu can't read yet, but she knows her letters. She finds a lot of L's. More than 59, she thinks. Then she waters her avocado plant. She takes out her ruler to measure if it's grown. Some days it just doesn't seem to be getting any bigger. When Bingo gives Lulu the look, it's time to go outside. In the backyard, the grass smells sweet and is sparkly with dew. While Bingo snuffles about, Lulu discovers a line of ants marching over a rock. Is that rock in your way, ants? It's much too big for you to move, isn't it? She says. I can help you. I'm Ladybug Girl. Ladybug Girl easily lifts the rock over her head and tosses it aside. Nothing can stop the ants now. Come on, Bingo, she says. Ladybug Girl has things to do. She runs across the yard to the pond. Her brother calls it a puddle, but she knows it's big. So big she can see trees and sky inside the water. There might even be a shark in the deep part. Ladybug Girl jumps in anyway. Her next stop is the old crumbly stone wall. It definitely needs her help. She picks up the fallen rocks and puts them back on top. Now the wall is bigger and better than before. It's the perfect fort. Even the toppled over tree at the back of the yard can't stop her. Its roots look like angry snakes, but Ladybug Girl skips all the way down its trunk, not falling even once. She jumps down and lands with a bow. Ta-da! She says. Bingo wags his tail. All of a sudden, Lulu hears the crack of a baseball bat. She whirls around and sees a ball bouncing toward her. "Hey!" her brother yells. "Throw it over here!" She picks up the ball and throws it. But somehow it lands near her feet. "Please, can I play with you now?" she asks when her brother runs over. "No," he says, "I already told you. You're too little." He grabs the ball and runs back to his game. Lulu glares after him. Lulu lies down, feeling the warm sun on her cheeks. She knows she isn't too little. She thinks of the 59 letter L's she found and how she saved the ants. She wasn't afraid of the shark at all. She built the perfect fort. And she balanced across the whole tree without falling, all by herself. From out of nowhere, a gust of wind swirls the air with leaves. She jumps up to chase them. Ladybug Girl can catch leaves in mid-air. Ladybug Girl is definitely not little, she yells into the wind. Lulu runs up the hill to the apple tree and lifts herself onto a branch. She can see her brother and his friends playing baseball and hears them arguing. It doesn't really look like that much fun after all. Not the kind of fun Ladybug Girl has. She holds her thumb and index finger a bit apart and squints through them. She can fit her brother and all of his friends between those two fingers. "I'm not little," she says. "You're little." Lulu sits for a moment, listening to the singing sparrows and the squawky blue jays. When she hears Mama calling, she swings down and says, "Come on, Bingo, let's go inside and tell Mama and Papa about our morning." Feeling as big as the whole outdoors, Lulu stretches out her arms and flies down the hill with their wings bobbing behind her. The end.
Welcome to another edition of Through the Camera. This week it's special. We're going to the Okefenokee Swamp. So grab your family, grab a camera, and let's go grab some memories. Okay, so the night's over. We've left the luxurious Super 8 motel accommodations, and we're out here at the Okefenokee checking into the cabin. It's going to be a week-long fun tour of what we can find out in this natural forest. Amazing stuff, we hope. Just watch and see what we can come across here at the Okefenokee. Out on the wilderness trail right now at the Okefenokee, as we walk, we can all see that this is where people come out to look at wild nature. Nature is wild, and that's what we're amongst today. Hopefully we can find something out of the ordinary.
sitting in the middle of the Okefenokee, and I have us parked on a peat battery. And do you guys know what Okefenokee means? Okay.
I've been wondering that.
All right, so the bottom of the swamp floor is covered with what we call peat. And it's just a collection of decaying vegetation that settles down to the bottom. It's being broken down by microbes and bacteria, and methane gas is released in the process. So over time you get enough pressure from all that methane that it forces the peat to break loose from the bottom, and it forces it to pop up to the surface. So that's what happened over here. And it's created a platform for grasses and other vegetation to colonize on it and take root. Once it's completely covered with grasses like this one is, we call it a peat battery, because in the Civil War, soldiers could hydrate their ammunition deep down in that tall grass. They could float the whole thing downriver and move it from location to location. And when the Indians were here, they figured out they could walk across these thick floating mats of peat. And when they did that, it would move underneath their feet. They called it Okefenokee, or Land of the Trembling Earth. So y'all see it moving?
It looks pretty strong though.
Uh-huh. So yeah, you can walk across that. Asked a friend in school what she wanted to be, and she said park ranger. I kind of went like, ooh, really? Why? I wanted to be a vet growing up, and I took freshman chemistry in college and realized no vet school was ever going to admit me into their program. So I looked at the list of majors Georgia had to offer, and all the way at the bottom down there next to women's studies was wildlife. That's what I want to study. That's what I want to do.
Wow, it's been a fantastic day today. Let's take a look back through the photo album. Thanks for coming along this week as we visited the Okefenokee Swamp. Special thanks to the Georgia Department of Natural Resources for all their help in making this segment this week. Thanks, guys. I'm reminding you as your photographer, Daryl Everidge, this week, grab the family, grab a camera, and go out there and grab some memories. This is the place for axe wheeling fun. Welcome to Lumberjacks. Come blow off some steam and throw an axe.
Lumberjacks is an axe throwing place. You can probably see the lanes behind me that we have 6 lanes that you can come in with a group of people, throw axes for an hour or two, have a beer or wine or craft soda, and it's a great way to spend a couple hours in a night. It's not one of these things like you go, nothing against bowling, but you need something new to do. You want something fun to do, something unique. That's where we come into place. I lived in Charlotte. They opened an axe throwing place down the street from me. I tried it out, loved it, talked to some investors, and we decided to open one here. The 2 other investors got their MBAs from UGA. I used to live here and I loved this town. So I was like, why not bring it back to Athens?
The minute I walked into Lumberjacks, I knew this place was going to be fun. And it was. Being able to have a day of throwing an axe, talk about a stress reliever. If you're in the Athens area, I highly recommend that you make a time to come by and throw an axe for a while. Believe me, you'll be glad you did.
There's 2 kinds of people that come in here. They're the ones that are all excited, they really want to get into it. They're like, oh, axe throwing and drinking a beer, what could be better than this? And then there's the ones that are very hesitant. They're like, I don't know about this, drinking and axe throwing, oh, that sounds awful. But after 10 minutes, they're hooked. We're not the place that you come in drunk. It's, you have a craft beer while you're throwing, and then, 1, 2, and then at the end of the hour, it's, you go have dinner downtown or you go hang out. When you live a little further out from a hub, let's just say, like Athens, sometimes you just get stuck in your own little bubble. You've got your grocery store, you've got your restaurant that you go to. Same thing with Monroe. Monroe's a decent sized city. You've got, Walmarts, you've got all the kind of standard amenity stuff, but it is still a little limited on what you can do. So especially in like Monroe area, your choices are head for Atlanta, and you know what kind of headache that is with the traffic and dealing with all the parking and that kind of stupidity. Or you can come into Athens, where there's good local restaurants, family-run places. And we want to expand upon that. We want this to be that nice hub that people can come from outside the area. Come up from Bishop, come over from Washington, come over from Monroe, come down from, Commerce, or even as far as like Conyers and stuff. We had some people in here a couple weeks ago that drove from Gainesville out to here because they didn't want to deal with Atlanta. They had been to the Atlanta axe throwing one, and then they came here and they're like, yeah, we're coming here from now on. So it's tough to get the word out that far out though. People actually have to be looking for us. So we're trying to expand upon it and try and get people from these outlying areas to Athens into the city.
Welcome to Focus. This segment is an opportunity for us to focus on what matters with people, places, and things. I'm your photographer, Darrell Everidge. Meet Michelle, a wife, a mother who works a full-time job and still has time for a workout regimen that would scare most of us. Michelle started out doing the regular routines we all do, kind of working out at home, but later decided to join a gym. After working out there for a little while, she decided she wanted to step it up. And that's when Michelle was introduced to CrossFit.
Probably about 8 years ago, I decided that I wanted to better myself. So I joined Anytime Fitness. And I just started doing just things here and there, and they offered some classes. So I started doing the classes to learn just basic movements to do to better my health, lose some weight, of course. And I started doing a boot camp class there. And I'd done that for a while, and some spin class. And then I continued on with the boot camp class, and that's where I met Laura, which which is Coach Laura here at CrossFit. And I worked out with her for several years prior to joining CrossFit.
This gym opened in 2012, so it's been here for a while. And then we bought it a year ago in August. We took over the ownership, Heather and I. CrossFit's just like a step up from your usual global gym, I guess you could say. It's a better atmosphere. Everybody pushes everybody, encourages everybody. You get your weightlifting and you get your cardio in a mixture of the hour.
It's more of a challenge because after a little while doing the same things over and over again, it's not really as big of a challenge for your body. And I like the little bit of competition that CrossFit offers. Every day is a different workout. It's never really the same. I mean, you have your basic general movements that in every exercise that are similar, but some of the workouts we do are timed. Some of them are just for an amount of reps, and it's just a different type of atmosphere.
Some people are intimidated by the name CrossFit, but anybody can do it. You can scale it any way. So it's just making that transition of your regular gym and your regular workouts to coming in and trying this out and seeing that anybody can do it.
And it's for anybody. It's not for just someone that's been working out for a long time. Anybody can do it. There's a modification for every movement. And then eventually, after you master that one, you move on to another one to get better at it until, you know, you're that person up there doing strict pull-ups, dozens in a row, you know. But it takes time to get there.
Growing up in the South, I knew the value of that summer garden. A lot of us have busy lives now and can't have a garden. So if you don't want to eat out of a can, you either go pick it yourself at a farm, or you can take a short drive to the Crow's Nest.
Well, the Crow's Nest started on a whim. We decided that this end of town needed a little produce, and there are several farmers out here that we buy local from, and we just decided to come closer to them. And Kim Crow, who owns the Crow's store next door, was gracious enough to rent this for us, and we got started 4 years ago. Well, we carry a lot of seasonal, which is your local squash, zucchini, tomatoes, okra, beans, and cantaloupe, watermelons. Anything that we can find that's local, we'll get.
What really took me back was the smell. When you walk in this place, it is delicious to your nose. All of the fruits and the vegetables mixed together, it is amazing. Then when you walk through here, you see all this fresh produce, the fresh vegetables and the fresh fruit. It is amazing. I loaded up with some sweet corn and it was delicious. I'll definitely go back. This is a great place. I recommend.
The difference is freshness, and we strive to have the freshest produce in town.
We go to the market about every other day to get fresh.
Correct. And we get it local from our farmers, and the freshness has a better taste because grocery stores shelf, and that takes all the vitamins and the freshness out of it. So buying local is the best way to go. The dog is our mascot, and she's here every day. We have a lot of customers that really come to see her, not us. Her name is Raya.